I'm going to bring the best of all those platforms into WordPress.
Into the ecosystem.
Because people in this ecosystem don't want to go compete with, you know, or use those outside softwares.
Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Roland Frasier with Business Lunch. Welcome to the show. I have my guest today, Syed Balkhi. Syed, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Roland.
I'm excited. We've been trying to do this for a while now. Both schedules kind of challenging.
Yeah.
You have built an amazing, really multifaceted 8-figure business from nothing. And I would love to have you first just kind of tell everybody a little bit about the different company or the company name that you want and the where you are right now, and then we'll kind of go into how you got there.
Yeah, for sure. So we operate in a marketing tech software, primarily in the marketing space. OptinMonster is one of the more well-known software that helps you convert abandoned wizards.
We use that.
Yeah. But we have a suite of software from Monster Insights in the WordPress space to WP Forms and Formidable Forms, MemberPress, Pretty Links, like a whole suite of WordPress software that's running on over 9 million websites now.
Oh, millions and millions of websites. That's so cool. So how did you get into this in the first place? What was, if we go back to the first Syed is not an entrepreneur time into your first venture, what was it?
My parents moved from Pakistan to the US and I was 12 years old and we're pretty broke, like most immigrant families, and I just needed to find a way to make money online or just make money in general. And my cousin told me you could do that online in a legal way.
In a legal way.
In a legal way.
Not stealing credit cards.
Yeah.
Not on the dark web.
I basically started at 12 forum posting for other marketers at the time. That's how I got my start at
forum posting.
Yeah, because at the time online forums were a thing, and people would hire folks to be under fake names and do posts so that the forums look alive. So that's what I started when I was 12 years old. And
at 12, that's
at 12,
wow.
yeah, and it would pay me enough money to buy Mountain Dew and other junk food.
It's Mountain Dew to keep you up to do all of the posting that you need. So it's kind of like the profits were consumed in the. That's funny.
But yeah, I got into domain from there and moved onward.
So what happened next? You were doing that, and
I realized that I couldn't really get money, all of it out from it. So I just started like telling the guy to pay me in domain credits.
Okay.
So to buy domain names, and I started doing that. Then I was in high school. I wanted to play games, and everything was blocked. In high school, so I learned started Googling how do you get around this, and apparently you can do a proxy. You can use a proxy. So I started looking up all the different proxies, but apparently they were all blocked. So I learned how to make a proxy, and I learned how to code.
So they were blocking IPs basically.
They were blocking domain names.
Okay, domains.
So I had so many domains. I'm like, I can make a proxy, and then start playing games in high school, that kind of gave me an idea. Oh, proxies can actually make money because my proxies started getting a lot of traffic. Apparently people were tracking proxy scripts, for other illegal activities people wanted to do with it, I guess.
Right.
So I started getting a ton of traffic, and somebody's like, why don't you just run ads on it? And like, that's a good idea.
I can do that, yeah.
And start throwing some ads on it and making money, and more traffic equals more money.
And now you're high school still, right?
I'm still in high school.
And what kind of money is this starting to make for you?
It's making a few $100 a month right now,
which is
amazing,
cool,
right? For a high school kid. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. The more traffic I get, the more money I make. How do I get more traffic?
Right.
And that led me down the rabbit hole of MySpace promotions. MySpace was a thing at the time, and kind of blowing up. So I started how do I gain MySpace followers to send bulletin boards, which were like newsletter blasts.
Yeah, I remember this.
So dabbled into that, learned I can get more traffic. Okay, how do I get more? Like SEO. Okay, how do you do SEO? And I started learning all things about SEO and link building.
And how are you learning?
Google. I'm just Googling. Just
Google,
Googling.
YouTube, just documents that come up.
As a matter of fact, YouTube wasn't that big at the time.
Yeah,
YouTube was
2007 or 6 or
so
something like that.
Right now, in this period, we're looking at 04, 05.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
And trying to dabble into SEO. So there are different webmaster forums out there, and just Googling, right? Different things. Okay, and people are talking about different black hat techniques, white hat techniques, and all this. So just learned that and started dabbling into getting more and more traffic from SEO.
Okay.
And then, Google started making that shift from static content to dynamic content. And I wanted, what is dynamic content, right? And turns out blogs. And that's how I discovered WordPress in 2006.
Ah, okay. So now you're still there. You don't own any software companies or anything like that there. You're still kind of going for how do I get traffic and whatnot. What was the next evolution?
As I was learning all of this, my mom's friends are like, hey, what do you do? My mom was like, oh, she builds websites. So I started getting these local like website clients and all this. I have started building this service business.
Yeah, be making decent money.
So now I'm starting making decent money with this. I'm learning all this social media stuff because social media like dig.com, StumbleUpon are out. And so I'm like, okay, this is really cool. And I happen to become a power user on Dig, which means, if I submit an article, hits the front page, 80,000 unique visitors on the fly.
Amazing.
And people are like, oh my God, you have a lot of power on the traffic side.
Yeah.
50% of my articles would hit the front page. So I'm like legit power user at this point.
Yeah.
So I started doing traffic consulting. And at the same time, got into affiliate marketing.
Okay.
So
what did you sell first? What was the first thing you affiliate sold?
It was like hosting.
Okay.
Yeah, hosting.
Was it always digital, never like television antennas?
So no, I did like several like zip submit, email submit offers, but those were like short lived. Okay. But yeah, I started doing digital products. Never really went down supplements or any of those other verticals.
So now you're doing affiliate marketing.
Traffic consulting, and then I realized I wanted out of my small web development shop, because I was starting getting bigger clients. I didn't want the small mom and pop where I was still doing management. Yeah. Where I had a team of like 3-4 people at this time. So I wanted out, but I cared a lot about the small business because I knew they didn't have the resources.
So you're still fairly young and you're hiring people at this point,
right? Yeah. I started.
What was that like?
Very interesting because like everybody like you're just some kid, right? Most people didn't really respect the fact because you're a teenager. You're a high school kid. I'm 16. Right. I graduated high school.
Literally, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I went to college and I'm 16 years old, and people are like, okay, no respect. But what they did value was my profile on StumbleUpon, my profile on Dig, my profile on those things because I had so much traffic. Yeah. So they're like, okay, this kid knows what he's doing. Right. So I did get credits for that, but otherwise it was like, hiring people were like, okay, you don't know, you clearly don't have the
And were you hiring people that were older than you?
Of course, yeah, everybody.
And they're just like, this is weird.
Right. So I wanted to exit that business. So I've, said, okay, you know what? WordPress actually makes it super easy for you to just customize the things. You don't need to pay us to manage that. How about you pay us a one-time fee? We'll move you over to WordPress instead of the custom CMS that I had developed. And you can manage everything yourself. Most of those companies said, yeah, we'll do that. So we moved them over to WordPress, and turns out that they're like, how do I do this in WordPress? How do I do that in WordPress? I'm like, I thought I got rid of all these clients. Right. And then clearly I didn't. So I started asking other agencies, what are you doing? And they're, we have PDFs. I'm like, that's not really scalable because WordPress updates too damn often.
Yeah,
and screenshots changes.
If you have a dynamic PDF.
Right. Yeah. So I just launched a blog called wpbeginner. And I said, okay.
Which you still have, right?
Oh, yeah, still have. Turns 10 years old now.
Yeah.
This is 2009. I built all the content, launched wpbeginner, because at the time I realized that all these agencies don't have a solution. All the blogs about WordPress were for developers by developers. Right. And I entered a solution.
English, typically.
Right. And I said, okay, I'm not going to charge for this. I'm just going to give it for free. Right. Because I was like, if I can just dominate, with the free content.
And so did you have that mindset early on?
Yeah.
Was there a model you were looking at or anything, or did you just kind of come up with that?
No, I was following Matt Mickeywick from SitePoint at the time, and I'd seen what he was able to do. With his traffic base and everything, and I was like, this is really, really cool. I saw what Darren Rouse was able to do with Digital Photography School, and ProBlogger at the time was still relatively new, and like, this is really cool, what these guys were able to do, and nobody's focused on this niche. I mean, there's other people as well that were doing blogging very, very successfully. And I'm like, I can do this, but I don't want to just rely on blogging income because I realized that there's software to be created here. And WordPress was in infancy at the time. We still 6 years.
So you realized there was software to be created. You had no idea how to do it.
No.
Yeah. But, and were you still doing the affiliate marketing as well?
Yeah. That was the primary mode of income at the time for wpbeginner. Because I realized I can put organic recommendation.
Because you were giving away all of the stuff.
Free content, right.
Were you ad supported?
For a very short period of time, I was ad supported. And then I realized that we didn't make enough money on the ads.
Which has been something Silicon Valley's been discovering a whole lot, right?
Yeah. I realized that you don't make a lot of money in the ads, and the value of WP Beginner audience, it was not, it was small audience, but very targeted audience and very warm audience. So I could make a lot more money by taking a ref share deal than a monthly ad deal.
Right.
And I started going down that route. And it was purely user-fed content. Users would ask questions on Twitter and all these platforms, and would just turn it into content.
So you were scraping content from other sites, basically?
I would go to search.twitter.com, type WordPress, and look at all the questions people were asking about WordPress.
And nobody would just answer those questions?
Correct.
So it's kind of like a Quora.
It was like Quora or Answer the Public that you have now, but before they existed.
Which was pretty smart.
And that helped me get a ton of long-tail traffic. And I started getting links. So we actually ended up becoming the unofficial documentation for every WordPress plugin at the time.
Really?
Because developers didn't really, all the popular ones, because those developers weren't really good at writing documentation.
Right.
It was a new ecosystem, and we were writing how-to tutorials
and it's just a hassle for them. So it's like, it's not like they make money from writing the documentation.
Right.
So if somebody else is doing it for free, they're kind of like, go there.
Yeah, exactly. So we started getting this word of mouth network, WordCamps, which is WordPress focused conferences. People started recommending WP Beginner as a free resource, and the word of mouth just starts spreading.
So cool.
And this thing just grew, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let's start looking at what are the needs that I have and what are the needs that our users have, right? What are getting more clicks, et cetera. And we just looked at, okay, people want more subscribers, and this is something I'm struggling with right now. People want share buttons. This is something I'm struggling with right now, and I just started looking at building plugins. And
now that's a big leap, right?
Right.
Says, I should do software, because I know a lot of people that go, I had that idea, and look, you never did anything about it. What did you do to go from not knowing how to do any software at all to building some? That's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah,
especially back then, because it wasn't as drag and drop as it is now, right?
So I learned how to code because I didn't have, in the early days, didn't have the money to pay people to code.
Yeah.
The beautiful part about WordPress is it's open source, so you can actually see other people's code and reverse engineer it. I'm pretty good at reverse engineering things. Right? So I started looking at it like,
were you doing this yourself, the coding stuff?
Yeah.
So how did you learn?
I literally opened the source file and started learning, and then Googling, what does this PHP function mean? And what does this mean, right? I had learned a little bit when I coded my original CMS to build some of the websites, so I knew how to code.
And so people know what a CMS is, the content management system.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So I learned how to code in the early days. I wasn't the best coder. I still suck at coding, but I can prototype.
Right. Okay. Yeah, which is good.
Which is important.
I can make crappy fast.
Right. I can make crappy fast. And so in 2013, rewind back a little, 2 years ago, earlier, a lot of WordPress developers started coming to me and asking me for advice on how do you market, because I am the biggest media blog in WordPress at the time. Yeah. And they're like, what do the users need? Because I have the pulse on the industry. So I started helping people out. I met one of the developers at the time named Thomas Griffin. And he was like, hey, I see you promoting this other product. I'm building this product killer, right? And I'm like, well, in that case, you probably want to add this feature, this feature, this feature. And when you're ready, come back to me and I'll help you market it.
Nice.
He took the ideas, disappeared. I ran into him at another event and we started chatting about it. He's like, oh yeah, I didn't know how to reach you, blah, 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 whatever. And then...
Had he released a product?
He released a product, right. Long story short, we actually ended up partnering up on OptinMonster.
Okay.
And we launched OptinMonster.
And was OptinMonster an outgrowth of his product, or was it something
No, it was brand new. I had already built a prototype that I was using on WP Beginner because I wasn't too happy with the existing solutions in the market.
Yeah.
They didn't have exit pop-up. They were time pop-ups, scroll pop-ups, but no exit pop-up. And I was like... Time pop-ups were annoying. People were complaining about it.
Yeah. Even to this day, I just, it's so annoying. It's like, I just got to your website. No, I don't want to subscribe. I want to read the thing that I came here to read.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the time, publishers didn't have a better option. And I knew once you left my website, I lost you pretty much, right? Most people wouldn't come back.
Right.
And I needed to get you in my email list so I can run you down to a drip funnel so I can make some money, right? So I was like, okay, I just started thinking like, wait a minute. What's the time when I can capture the user where they will be least unhappy? When they're leaving the website. Like, how do you do this? Turns out jQuery has a simple function, mouse out, right? That just tracks when the mouse leaves the active plane. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to write a code that just does this, very bare bone,
so were you the first one that did that?
No, believe it or not.
Okay.
There was a company.
I mean, did you know of the other one at the time?
No, did not know of the other one. There was a company that, like a guy did it in 07, 08. It was an internet marketer who did this. He was, I think he was the first one who ever did an exit pop-up.
Okay.
I found a YouTube video of him showing it, prototyping.
And you're like, hey.
But so like I looked at it and I'm like, this is really cool. And I called it Exit Intent.
Yeah.
And people were like, this is really cool. How are you doing this? And then
that's pretty cool. I didn't know you coined that word.
Yeah, Exit Intent. It's our trademark.
Yeah.
Actually, it's trademark.
Is it really?
It's trademark. We don't enforce it very well because it's kind of become like Xerox now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's our trademark. So we started that and built this industry. But people are like, we want OptinMonster. Does it work outside of WordPress? Mm-hmm. No. And that kind of gave birth to a whole industry. It took us 1.5 years to go outside of WordPress and turn it into a SaaS.
Did people knock it off outside?
Very quickly. Yeah, it started happening really, really fast.
And how did you deal with that? Is that, obviously it's annoying.
Right, very annoying.
Did you say, let's go sue them? I don't know what to do. We're just going to sit on it for a while. How do you deal with that?
So because OptinMonster was a WordPress plugin in the early days, it was GPL and open source. The way GPL works, you can take the code and redistribute it, repurpose it however you want.
So you couldn't really do anything.
You couldn't really do much about it. But what we were able to do, first mover advantage, our brand was really good. So in order for the other products to explain what they did, they had to kind of
go to wpbeginner and check out.
that, and then like they were all linked to my case study, like how we grew our traffic by 600% using
people are like, oh, OptinMonster too. Huh?
Exactly. Or they would say it's an exit intent pop-up like OptinMonster. So even when they're doing like press releases and Entrepreneur or Forbes where cover it, they will always mention us to describe our competitor, you know?
Great.
Which was really, really good. So when we entered, we're like, oh, we have to do something about it. We entered the SaaS market and we were able to capture that market share. But once we kind of understood like how that software, because before this software, I had a sharing plugin, and that was the first really foray into software. I'm like, this is really cool. I think we understand this market, and we're a little bit more savvy than we have an unfair advantage that we have this media outlet, right? We have the user base, we have a good pulse on it, and just from there started looking into companies to partner with, either acquire fully, acquire 60% majority stake or higher, or like acquire minority stake, and then from there just kind of went on one after another, another, and 100% bootstraps. I didn't raise any round or anything, and just like one after another.
So have you raised money?
No.
Okay, so you're totally bootstrapped, totally self-funded.
Yeah.
And you've grown a lot lately through acquisitions.
Yeah.
Tell me about the first time that you did that. I know sometimes you can't talk about things, so within the bounds of pick one that you can talk about. And I'd love to hear what was the experience like going from I've never done that before to hey, I'd kind of like to buy that.
So I realized, every year I would do a census survey on WP Beginner, and it had like a bunch of questions. But one of my favorite questions, which we ask all the time, is if you could have us build one product, what would it be? Mm-hmm. And how much would you pay for it?
Right? I like the end. How much would you pay for it?
So people would give us, and the answer kept coming, contact form. And I'm like, wait, contact form, this market is well served already. There are so many, like hundreds of contact form plugins out in WordPress and then outside. What is wrong? So we started doing interviews, and people were like, oh, it's not user friendly. That's the issue, blah, blah, like dozens of issues, right? So I started trying to buy a contact form company, and nobody wanted to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to build my own. But I figured out that I need to buy. That's the way to go. And then the second,
because it was going to take too much time
to build, right, from the ground up, and have feature parity with established competitors who have like 7 years advantage on you.
Right.
The other thing was analytics. People kept asking analytics. I'm like, wait, what's the issue with analytics? Yoast already had the product call for analytics. And I'm like, I don't even know if Yoast is going to sell this to me. So I reached out to a smaller player in the market and started talking to me like, well, no, I actually just partnered with somebody else, so I really can't sell this. And just out of the blue, Yoast pings me on Skype. He's like, hey, do you want to buy this?
Had he heard, or?
I have no idea.
Just random.
Completely
just like
random.
Out of the sky.
Out of the sky.
And did you know Yoast?
Yeah. We've been in the same space.
So he was thinking, hey, I kind of don't want this anymore.
Correct.
I'll talk to the people that might be interested.
Yeah, exactly. He had a good
cool.
reputation in the space, and he knew that I was looking in the plugin space. I never communicated with him that I wanted to buy an analytics software. He just reached out. He's like, hey, you're somebody I trust. I want to, I'm happy to sell you this business because I wanted to go in the hand of somebody who's not going to abuse the user base. That's the big concern.
That's actually
right?
really cool. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what are the odds that I was really looking for an analytics software?
Right.
Let's make it happen. And it was a quick deal because there was so much trust between the parties involved.
Was it concerning? I'm assuming you had to pay a reasonable amount of money for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it scary at all going and doing that?
No,
or was it so well established?
We had a pretty good business. With being bootstrapped, we've been pretty financially conservative. Yeah. We keep a good cash flow to make investments and things. So we had the cash in the bank. So we just went, okay, we'll acquire it.
Yeah. And you knew it was not a big risk.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge risk for us, and it was aligned very well to cross sell and things like that. We took it, and I knew it was under optimized because that Yost's main focus was SEO business and not an analytics software. Yeah. So we're able to go in, make quick improvements, recover our money way faster. And I'm like, this is really cool. We need to do this. And then as WP Forms started, so we took WP Forms from 0 to 2 million in 3 years.
Wow.
And user base wise, which is unreal. Like the fastest growing form solution in the market right now.
So these were acquisitions for money, basically. No
Correct.
Trade swaps.
No.
Super creative.
Yeah,
just
no.
Get the best deal you can.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those would be examples of line extensions, basically, or market extensions. You've got the same market of WordPress users. You're giving the similar kind of products that that are compatible with the ones you got.
Right. Yeah.
And did that extend outside of, because OptinMonster had already gone to SaaS solution? Yeah. Did you also plan to take those products outside of the WordPress environment?
No, because I learned like some lessons on taking OptinMonster outside. I
would love to hear what they are.
Was that when you operate in an ecosystem, you have some inherent advantages. You know exactly who your market is. You know exactly how to market to them. You can work out distribution deals much better than anything else. Versus outside, it's a level playing field. Anybody can go on Facebook and bid. Yeah. Your moat isn't that large.
Got it.
In WordPress, we have a pretty large moat. We own the biggest media site. We have extremely great reputation. We have extremely great relationships for being in the space so long. And we have channel partners, agency partners, distribution partners. It just didn't make, I'm like, I need to focus, just double down on this area because we have an unfair advantage. Yeah. So when we got WP Forms, I'm like, I'm not going to go compete with Wufoo or SurveyMonkey, which is $1 billion business, or Typeform. I'm going to bring the best of all those platforms into WordPress,
into the ecosystem,
because people in this ecosystem don't want to go compete with or use those outside softwares. Yeah. So now my biggest focus is bringing all the best of the SaaS world, features and ease of use and usability inside the ecosystem, which powers 35% of the web. Yeah, sure, I don't get 100% of the users, but I get a pretty large chunk of the 35% of the web.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So
you started acquiring these things now, you've expanded, and what were the other big takeaways from these acquisitions? You mentioned that you had a lot from doing this.
So the biggest thing I learned was that you have an imposter syndrome as an entrepreneur. You're like, am I really qualified to do this? Am I really good at this? But when you acquire the business, I'm like, I'm pretty far ahead in this thing, right? I need to go do more of this. So I'm like, okay, I need to do more. And then that kind of gave birth to us like looking at, other alignments, because we're like, it's a lot easier to cross-sell our own products, and the more we can do it,
you already have the buyers. We already know you and like you and trust you.
Exactly, right? So you have the famous KLT, like trust. I'm like, okay, what else can we add? What other problems can we solve? And then it just opened a thing. I knew the process, like how to outreach. My brand was well known. Said, okay, we have WP Forms. One of the big problems that users have, their WordPress emails don't get delivered because their hosting companies are not SMTP servers, right? Okay, what's the problem? Well, everybody's recommending this SMTP plugin. It exists. It has 600,000 users. All my competitors are recommending it. Well, let me see, who owns it? One developer. Well, let me just approach him, see if he would sell it to me, and then I can call it WP Mail SMTP by WP Forms, and now I can market to all of my competitors with users, and our brand goes out. Bought that. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, what else can we? So then I said, you know what? I want to work within the ecosystem and work with other entrepreneurs, because I really enjoyed networking with entrepreneurs. We had a pretty healthy cash flow and everything. I'm like, I need to reinvest this, and I understand the ecosystem. I have an unfair advantage. So I created my own growth fund, and I started investing into other companies. So I launched the accelerator, and it was just like, hey, add a lot of value because we have the user base for the cross-sell point of view, while taking an equity stake into businesses. So then we acquired a stake into Formidable Forms, which is a alternative to WP Forms. WP Forms focused on more business and beginner users. Formidable is very advanced, focused on developer, and does tons of unique, cool things. So took a stake in that. We're like, okay, essential software, you have membership is a platform level software. I'm like, okay, cool. We already know that there's a big need. Membership sites are growing, membership economy. You read the book. It's like the culture shift. So I'm like, oh, like MemberPress is software. I know the guy. I like him. Approached them and took a stake in that company. They had a suite of software, Pretty Links, Affiliate Royale. So now we're in the affiliate marketing space as well.
So cool.
I'm like, okay, what else? What are the success gaps when you're starting a WordPress website? Well, a lot of people don't know.
How do you define a success gap?
There are two types. One is external, like what your product does and what the customer needs for them to be successful. So that gap could be anything. In a WordPress, form plugin, well, they need to have a first WordPress website. They need to have training. They need to have marketing. They need to have all that thing, right? So that's external. And internal is what your product does and what the customer thinks it should do for them to be successful. And that could be like, forms. Well, they want us to create surveys, but like we're like, oh, you can create surveys. Well, they don't really want surveys. The user wants beautiful reports. So that's the success gap. So I'm talking about external success gap. We wanted to fill it. So I'm looking at, okay, when you start a WordPress website, what's the gap? What's the natural flow of users? I started thinking about, really small details. Before you choose a theme, it's really hard to choose a theme. There are like thousands of them out there. People just put up a coming soon page.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, that's a great entry point to bring our products more exposure. Let me go acquire the most popular coming soon page plugin.
Nice.
So we did. So just started looking, so we just started.
Especially what's cool about it is that you're in a system that is a confined system.
Yep.
And you have the dominant system. So there's how many WordPress installations are there over the world?
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds of millions. So it's a giant market, even though it is an ecosystem, right? And you're just what's cool about it is that there isn't, because of the open source nature, a dominant player.
Right.
So as anybody who's innovating, you just come along and say, that's cool. Hey, want to sell it to me? Or hey, want to partner, right? Or hey, want our fund to throw some money your way. It's so cool, so smart.
Yeah.
How did you do the fund? Because you didn't know how to do a fund. You're not an investment banker, right?
Exactly. So I was, as we were talking earlier before the podcast, that I met my mentor when I was 14, and he had a huge influence on me from business point of view. So I had an opportunity to hang out with his network and other really, really successful folks.
What kind of mentor? You don't have to say who it is, but
he's a massive real estate business.
Okay, cool.
He lives in Boca Raton, Florida.
Nice. And so I'd love to chat for a minute about that.
Yeah.
So 14.
Yeah.
And how did you guys meet?
I'm from Pakistan. Cricket is a big sport.
Okay.
And I wanted to play cricket in U.S. and he had a league.
Okay.
So I was
playing on his cricket league.
I played his cricket league.
Nice.
And,
I did not know that you played cricket.
Yeah, I used to. I don't anymore. But
pickup game going here later. I'm just kidding. So that's really cool. And okay, so you did that, and then you just started talking business, or how did that evolve?
So I was not making a lot of money at the time. We were pretty broke, and I see this Pakistani gentleman who's very successful. So I'm like, for me, nobody in my family was really well off. So this was like a role model. I didn't even know this could happen. I'm like, a Pakistani guy has a lot of money. So I was frank. I'm like, how did you do this? Like a 14-year-old kid.
All of the lack of filters that kids have, which is good. Yeah.
So, and he's like, he starts telling me, I had to do real estate, blah, blah. One time he won a game and he invited us to his house. This is like a 16,000 square foot mansion, like horses and horse running, legit tennis court, everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then it started he has 3 kids. Daughter's my age, son is like year younger, and another son several years younger. So it just kind of started talking with them, and he was like, I like you, you're a good kid, and I was really interested in everything.
Yeah.
So he just started mentoring, so cool. And he started telling me, I would ask him questions, just genuinely curious.
Right.
And he saw that I had the drive, so he would just say, what are you doing now? He would just kind of play the role model, ask me the questions, kind of like a guide.
Yeah.
And I would just talk to him about the different business. He's like, oh, you should think about it this way. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And didn't never think about it that way, right?
Yeah, that's so cool.
So very
Did you
fortunate.
have a formal kind of thing where
No.
just as basically if you needed help, you called him and
Correct.
he'd call and check in?
Yeah, it became like he's a family friend now, So he just kind of become that relationship, but not formal. No, I'd never paid him a dime for anything.
What do you think of formal memberships and mentorships and mentorship programs?
I think it's very, very important. It's like if you're an athlete, like take LeBron James, like you know how many professional like coaches and things that he has for everything, from massage therapist to this. That's his, that's his competency. That's how he makes money. He needs trainers to improve.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, you need that network to improve. And you can only improve if you hang out with people at the same level or smarter than you.
Yeah.
If you're the smarter person in the room, you need a new room.
Wrong
right?
room. Yeah.
So yeah, I highly value it. I'm part of War Room and several other groups as well.
So did he help you with the fund then? He or had connections or whatever?
Yeah. So I've I'd been part of like other LPs where I invested a little bit of money because I had the cash, and so I understood the model, and so I created an LP to invest in companies.
An LP's limited partnership.
Yeah.
Cool. What is the next adventure?
I stepped out of OptinMonster last year, stepped out of WB Forms this year. I have an analytics software with Monster Insights that I bought from Yoast, but then we also ended up had the opportunity to acquire our second biggest competitor. So I actually want to.
Who was that?
It was called Google Analytics Dashboard for WordPress, GAD. So we acquired that. It was a one-man show, and I want to step into the analytics market and disrupt that a little bit.
Nice.
Launch a premium offering for exact metrics, and just go from there.
Sweet, that's exciting. So, do you travel much at all?
I try to take a trip with my family once a month. We're actually going 2 days from now. We're going to Istanbul, Munich, and Vienna. I try to take one trip a month with my family. I have a 2.5-year-old and a beautiful wife. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, when you do that, are there any things that you have found hack-wise that make your travels easier, more comfortable, less expensive, more expensive, etc.?
So I've learned a few different things, point hacks, definitely. So we have like some contacts who have like tons of points who just sell you points to book things. Yep. I also got a very great trick from you of hotel hacking, so you can get upgrades. So just book the highest category of the lowest point thing, and then you get the next thing. Yep. That's worked for me. Nice. 4 or 5 times now I've used it, and so like that works really well. And then, just like if you see something like, we don't always stay in like hotels. We would go and get like luxury,
Airbnbs
vacation rentals,
or
and just undercut the middleman. And that tends to work really well.
So basically you find them, contact, then go direct.
Right, exactly. Okay. Nice. And that tends to cut down like a significant percent.
What do you read now or consume information-wise, listen to, watch, etc., to kind of stay up on things and stay ahead of the curve?
So, when I was first starting out, traffic was the biggest thing. I wanted to learn everything about traffic and conversion. Now, with established recurring revenue business, my biggest focus is retention and net revenue churn, right? Okay. So my biggest focus in learning and everything is like, how do we grow expansion revenue? How do we keep our net revenue churn in negative? We're not in negative. Like last quarter, we're 0.06. So we're pretty darn close to negative. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. So like a lot of my focus is on that. So I read a really cool book, Extreme Revenue Growth by Victor Chang. Really good.
Is that software focused, or is it kind of for everybody?
Actually, just business focused, and it's really easy to read.
Extreme Revenue
Growth by Victor Chang. It's a book that you don't really necessarily hear about a lot. Yeah. But it's really, really good. Hits the points home. So that was really good. I do listen to podcasts by Nathan Latka because just too many people just go in and share their numbers.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, and you would never find any resource like Nathan's that have that much data on private companies.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's really good for competitive intelligence.
That one report that he does is just crazy. I
would never go on his show.
No kidding. Yeah.
But I do appreciate everybody else that's a great learning opportunity for me. But yeah, just like keeping up and looking into resources like this. A lot of as we're growing operational efficiencies and reading books along that line is also very important. Yeah.
Any books that have been particularly, besides the one that you mentioned, impactful for you?
Yes. Traction by Gino Wickman has played a massive role in our organizational restructuring. We implemented EOS, of course, tweaked it now to work well with our organization, but we implemented it 2 years ago, and probably one of the better decisions I made, because I'm not a COO or, the general, if you think about that, like operational side.
Yeah.
So this was really good to have a system that we can use, and has worked really, really well for us.
Nice.
There's a lot of good books from motivational point of view, from inspirational point of view, but you can read a ton of those and pick your nuggets out.
Nice. Any gadgets or toys or other things like that you have found that are super cool that you've bought and are enjoying? It could be a camera. It could be a thing that makes your bed cold. Could be anything.
I have been fortunate to have tons of toys. I met a fellow war room member who sent me a massage chair, like a completely robust Trumatic. That's a really cool toy.
That's cool.
I'm into cars. I have a Porsche 911, and that's pretty fun to drive every now and again with launch mode and all that. Just like, don't necessarily want to brag about all the toys.
It's just something, anything that you found that's super fun that you're enjoying. That's it's always nice to share that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. For people who want to subscribe to all your wonderful software and stuff like that, where would they go to do that?
If you want to learn about all of my software, probably just go to syedbalkhi.com and click on my company's link.
SYEDBALKHI.com.
Right.
Okay. And also, would it be OptinMonster as
Yeah,
well?
you can go to OptinMonster.com for that software, or AwesomeMotive.com to get a list of all of my holdings and investment. Awesome Motive, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And if they wanted to reach out to you directly, are you on all the socials and all that?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials with the same user, Syed Balkhi. You can direct message me or private message me based on what the platform's called.
As we before we sign off at the very end, is there anything that I didn't ask that you think I should have asked, or that you would like to share or say to the audience?
No, I think you were pretty well thorough and asked everything.
You got it? Yeah. Well, now you have to go and see if you won Wicked Smart. I'm assuming that you did, because you've won a whole bunch of them. So let's do that. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
All right.